Spoiler alert, everyone. Those who have seen the MCU series WandaVision would be aware that the most startling climax was when it was revealed that the fairly ordinary neighbor Agatha had been the very supervillain behind all the unwanted troubles that had been affecting Scarlet Witch. Agatha, towards the end of the series, presents herself as a witch whose powers, if used adequately, could even restrain Wanda. The series finale showcased Wanda Maximoff trapping Agatha as a sitcom persona Agnes, and now that the new MCU series Agatha All Along has been released, the curiosity around Agatha and her origins has escalated yet again. So, in this video, we will explore the powerful witch's family, beginning from her son to her 7 grandchildren. Stay tuned, for we'll also reveal an unnamed mystery relative of the witch that's all the hype in Marvel right now. So without further delay, let us begin. But before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means an awful lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Imperium.
Agatha Harkness. It's not known at what point Agatha Harkness took an interest in witchcraft and magic, but she remained a part of the Coven in the early 15th century. The Coven consisted of her and other witch companions including Karina, Jacquette Laveau, Minoru, and Zorik. Back then, the religious institutions and churches in Europe were conducting expansive witch hunts, and Harkness, along with her group, had vowed to counter these. However, Jacquette, much to everyone's disapproval, sacrificed Karina, whom she assumed to be the weakest among all, to invoke the powers of Valtor. Despite trying for years to rescue Karina from the dominion of Valtor, Agatha was unsuccessful in subduing his powers. By the late 17th century, Harkness had set up a coven of her own in Salem and now wished to practice magic without any undue intervention. However, the coven had to face a devastating end during the infamous Salem witch trials, under which the witches in her group were persecuted. Agatha's sinister intentions come forth when she contacts the mutant hero Firestar telepathically. Harkness then reveals that she had indeed approved of the trials, as they were essential to enhance her magical powers and wage a war against mankind when needed. She also invites Firestar to join her, but the latter refuses. This leads to a fight between the two superpowered creatures, after which Firestar frees some of Harkness's own people and also persuades her to let them go and live their life freely away from mankind. Realizing that warfare isn't a viable solution, Agatha decides to consent to their desires and leads them to the mountains that later became to be known as Colorado. Agatha maintained a relatively low profile after this, having settled in New Salem with other witches accompanying her. They kept minimal contact with a human civilization. She even got married and had a son, Nicholas, but ultimately abandoned him and left the city. Her contributions are also noted during the 18th century American Revolutionary War, in which she had participated as a member of the women-led group for rights, liberty, and justice called the Daughters of Liberty. During World War II, she also worked under the U.S. Army Major Alan Dacor, alongside other companions like the Ghost Dancer and Emerald Warlock. They all joined the Department of the Uncanny and aided in evading the threat of Hilda von Haidt. Post-20th century, Agatha had settled down in the USA, where the Fantastic Four contacted her to take care of their newborn Franklin Richards. Agatha agreed and became Franklin's permanent governess. Most of the time, the couple wasn't aware of Agatha's mystical side as a witch, and it was only revealed when she used her magic to save Reed and Franklin after her son Nicholas had captured them. After having served as Franklin's nanny, Agatha met Wanda and offered to tutor her so that she could use her magical powers more adequately. Thrilled with the prospect of learning more about witchcraft and acquiring more mystical superpowers, Wanda agreed instantly. Wanda was Agatha's disciple till she married Vision, after which Harkness had told her that she needed to keep learning on her own now. Agatha was finally killed when the Salem Seven captured their grandmother and burned her at the stake. Harkness resurfaced yet again, avoiding explanation for her return. She then wiped out Wanda's memories about her and Vision's children, who had been absorbed by Mephisto, as he believed that they had been fragments of his soul all along. Agatha had only done so to ease Wanda with the loss of her children, but Wanda misunderstood and instead murdered her teacher in cold blood after confronting her about her children. She was resurrected yet again after Wanda's mother, Natalia, sacrificed her soul to regenerate the goddess of witchcraft. With this new lease on life, Harkness returned to living on Wandagore Mountain. She also had a brief stint with the Strange Academy, taking a few classes there. Agatha, lastly, created the Darkhold by controlling all the superheroes and tricking Wanda into letting her inside her body, in which she ripped out Chthon's heart. To talk about her powers, they are expansive, as she's one of the most powerful witches in the MCU. She had mastered the art of witchcraft, where she could utilize her magical powers to manipulate almost anything and everyone in her favor. She is also enabled with dimensional manipulation and elemental control. Her other powers include fusionism, illusion casting, telekinesis, teleportation, transmutation, and voice manipulation as well. Agatha Harkness, Mother. It was Agatha's own mother in the series WandaVision who had supervised and dictated her daughter's trial for witchcraft in 1693 in the tragic and infamous Salem witch trials. Her mother, being the leader of the ancient Salemites, accused Agatha of having acquired knowledge beyond permissible limits by vice, and thus she should be executed. Tied to a wooden post, the poor Agatha wept and pleaded with her mother to forgive her and set her free, but it was all futile. With stone-cold expressions, Agatha Harkness commanded the witches to project magical energy beams towards Agatha. A crying Agatha ultimately bursts out her powers, which superseded that of the other witches and reversed them back, thus killing the other witches. Breaking free, Agatha proceeds to kill her mother and takes away the brooch off her corpse and leaves. Nicholas Scratch, Son. This guy is Agatha's son and has been the leader of the New Salem community of magicians and sorcerers. Nicholas had turned hostile against Agatha when she left the community and proceeded to lead a normal life among humans. She took up the job of a nanny to Franklin Richards, who was the son of Fantastic Four members Reed and Sue. Nicholas had falsely deluded the community members into believing that Agatha had betrayed everyone by dealing with the outside world. The aggrieved witches of the New Salem then decided to abduct Agatha and punish her accordingly. Along with Harkness, they also captured Franklin, which led to the Fantastic Four to follow them back to New Salem. The trial follows with the Reeds confronting Scratch for his actions in front of the entire community. They also revealed that they were unaware of Agatha's association with the New Salem until now. Outraged, Scratch attacks them and gets the entire New Salem community to permanently banish him into a dimension known as the Dark Realm. But of course, attempts to bring him back to Earth are made by the Salem 7. We'll get to them, and make sure you keep watching till the end. They did this after having defeated the Fantastic Four and sending the entire town into a coma-like trance. Agatha, in the nick of time, was able to strip the Salem 7 of their powers and keep her son Nicholas imprisoned. However, he soon escapes to Earth via the Negative Zone portal and ends up possessing Franklin. Gabriel, the Devil Hunter, contained his presence, but he escaped and freed his children. Working together, they were able to contain him and restore him back to the Dark Realm. His mother, disappointed by his antiques, took away all his magical powers, while also denouncing him as her son. Scratch soon returns back as the mayor of the town of Centerville, where Hellcat, aka Patsy Walker, discovers that her town is haunted by Scratch. She accuses him of serving Mephisto. However, Scratch reveals that he had been subservient to his true new master, Dormammu, instead. Dormammu captures Hellcat and elucidates his devilish plans of domination via conquest of Hell and assigning the position of Sorcerer Supreme to Scratch. In the end, both Dormammu and Scratch flee after the other Hell Lords cause Hell to freeze over. Nicholas carries with himself the Satan Staff, which is a mystical power object that serves as a focal source for concentrating Scratch's magical powers. He also has the ability of teleportation and energy projection. Darkhold Kid creation. Darkhold Kid was an unintended consequence of Agatha's failed efforts of trying to restore the natural balance of chaos magic by fueling discord among superheroes. The kid possessed the powers of the Dark Tome. The duo went into hiding from the Scarlet Witch after she had become the true Darkhold. They presented themselves as mother-son till one fine day, out of sheer boredom, Darkhold Kid escaped to Madripoor. There, some students from the Strange Academy encountered him, who were in search for the Montesi formula to aid in vampire invasion. This kid attacks them until he is countered by Pia. Darkhold Kid's powers involve vast mystical potential stemming from Chthon. Bruticus, grandson. Now, this giant man with an athletic and ripped physique was the eldest among Nicholas's 7 children. He was a fusion of a witch and a mutant. He and his remaining younger siblings comprised Salem's 7, who were dedicated towards Scratch and also had fought the Fantastic Four and Scarlet Witch on multiple occasions. For some time, they remained inanimate or had been banished. They only returned after the Scarlet Witch's defeat and the great disruption of the magical realms. They all ended up being spiraled into Whisper Hill with not much memory of their past lives. Recently, the group had been reformed, now working as benevolent protectors of the community of witches in New Salem, Colorado. Bruticus possesses the ability to transform himself into a leonine humanoid form with red horns. While in this form, he acquires superhuman strength and durability that are sufficient to even battle the Thing or the Vision. While in his normal human form, he has limited magical powers. Hydron, grandson. Hydron was one of the 7 siblings of Bruticus and Scratch's children. He had powers that could transform him into a powerful mystical creature with various superpowers. Being one of the supervillains, he was also part of Salem's 7 and was antagonistic towards the Fantastic Four and Scarlet Witch. He had also been called the Lord of the Waters and had the potential to transform into a bipedal merman who could project water streams from the stump end of his left arm as per his discretion. Thorn, grandson. Thorn was yet another grandchild of Agatha and was a mystical superpowered villain of Salem's 7. Just like his brother Hydron, he is sworn enemies with the Fantastic Four and Scarlet Witch. He has the powers to transform into a yellow demonic humanoid creature with exceptionally large red thorns emerging out of his arms and legs. During a conflict, he can utilize these thorns as explosives and bring down his opponent. Vacuum, grandson. Again, one of the 7 children of Nicholas and a member of the Salem 7, Vacuum was capable of shape-shifting from a normal human to an indescribable creature that could modulate weather patterns. He was also part of the group when they had abducted Agatha on the commands of Nicholas, only to get defeated by the Fantastic Four and end up getting banished. When he returned yet again to New Salem along with his siblings and had apparently killed Agatha Harkness, Vacuum and the rest of Salem 7 were brutally defeated by Vision and Wanda after one of their own, Gazelle, had turned against them. After they were subdued yet again by the Scarlet Witch, when she had calmed the creature Samhain, whom the 6 remaining siblings had created together, Vacuum's soul departed into Mephisto's realm. It was later rescued by Siobhan Haldane. During the course of his affiliation with Haldane, Vacuum's soul fragments realigned with the rest of his soul and returned to the Dead Zone, where he and the others have been waiting to be claimed by the Angel of Death. Salem's 7 members, along with Vacuum, were later resurrected by Wanda and were once again used by Nicholas, this time to free the demon Shumagora. Talking about Vacuum's attributes, he genetically possesses magical powers and can cast, counteract, and manipulate spells and rituals. He can also absorb the magical elements around him and then use them to enhance his energy. Along with power absorption, he can also indulge in wind manipulation and intangibility. Gazelle, granddaughter. Gazelle is Agatha's granddaughter and Nicholas's new Salemite daughter. The details about her mother remain oblivious. All that is known is that she is believed to be the heir of an advanced mystical and partially human-looking alter ego. Even though, just like her brothers, she inherently worked as a member of Salem 7, contrary to them, she was apprehensive of their functions and activities. This led her to protest against the group, but was unfortunately imprisoned by her siblings. Ideally speaking, Gazelle had once been dead when she was killed in the explosion of magical forces caused by the Scarlet Witch that had annihilated New Salem, but since then had been resurrected. She was also among the many animal-themed supervillains who had been captured by Taskmaster and Black Ant, so that they could be used as hunting targets to woo Kraven the Hunter and Arcade. Gazelle was killed here as well when a robotic hunter stabbed her, but surprisingly, she reappeared alongside the rest of the Salem 7 in an attack against the Fantastic Four. Talking about her powers, Gazelle's human form can manifest and conduct magic similar to the rest of the New Salemites. Since her other mystical form is that of a deer, she has incredible strength in her limbs that enable her to run, master most of her opponents, and also deliver powerful kicks. The wizard had further advanced her powers by enhancing her speed and agility parallel to that of Quicksilver. Additionally, she is also proficient in combat fighting skills. Vertigo Granddaughter. Vertigo is Agatha's eldest granddaughter, and similar to her sister Gazelle, she is a magically amplified alter ego of New Salemite, and the origins of her mother remain obscure. She had herself claimed this position of the priestess or ruler of the community after the Salem Seven had established their control over New Salem, having defeated Agatha. She too had been killed in the magical forces explosion in New Salem caused by the Scarlet Witch. However, she had been resurrected and ever since had been peacefully residing in the city along with her other siblings. Reptila Granddaughter. Reptila had been well versed in dark magic and also had the ability to transform into a monstrous serpentine. Just like her siblings, Reptila was part of Salem 7 and had captured her grandmother Agatha Harkness and the Fantastic Four members on her father's command. Once Agatha broke free, she banished Nicholas and stripped Reptila and her other half-siblings of their special magical powers. When the group had regained her powers, Reptila joined her siblings and fellow group members in the quest to kill Harkness by burning her at the stake. Reptila, along with the 5 other siblings, had devised the plan of sacrificing Wanda, Vision, and Gazelle, but the Scarlet Witch redirected her magic, causing an explosion of magical energy that killed Reptila and her allies. The Salem 7 was then resurrected by the serpent demon Daboya. Years after the group was banished, Reptila returned to Whisper Hill to reunite with her teammates. Later, Reptila assisted Agatha by posing as Wong, while Harkness posed as Doctor Strange. Shortly after, Reptila and her half-siblings assumed guardianship of New Salem. The community became a safe haven for people born of magic. Under unknown circumstances, Reptila was recruited into the Wizard's Frightful Four alongside her half-sisters Gazelle and Vertigo. The group then battled Mr. Fantastic in Chicago until the Scarlet Witch appeared and defeated the Frightful Four. Later, Reptila and her fellow witches were reunited as Scarlet Witch summoned them to face off against the Avengers from Dimension F. Reptila returned much later along with the other Salem 7, this time reunited with their father. After blasting the Fantastic Four team with a distortion spell, Nicholas, Reptila, and the rest of Salem 7 returned to the Dark Dimension. Abigail Harkness, unspecified relative. Abigail is an unspecified relative of Agatha. She used to reside in Salem during the 17th century. She was believed to be in the romantic interest of the then Sorcerer Supreme Hiram's son, Obadiah Shaw. Hiram Shaw, since the inception of their relationship, had disapproved of Abigail, and when his wife died under mysterious circumstances, he convincingly framed Abigail for witchcraft and murder. Wanting to protect his lover, Obadiah rescued her and the two fled. While they were escaping, Abigail confessed that she indeed was a witch and had numerous magical powers. Fueled with anger and humiliation, Abigail projected a firebolt towards the city and ultimately burned it down to ashes, including the people. Only Hiram could survive this catastrophe. Abigail's story after this incident remains untraceable, and it's not known if her lover stayed with her after the revelation of her being a witch. Marvelous verdict. Well then, this was all about Agatha Harkness, her extended family members across 2 generations, their attributes, and their contributions to her story and character development. Even though most of the characters may seem unheard of given how they had only been featured in the comics and not the WandaVision television series, new revelations could be expected in the new Marvel series dedicated solely to Agatha Harkness. And this was it for this video. We'll see you in the next one with more stories and secrets about your favorite superheroes and villains. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.